بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الآن نبدأ جلستنا الأولى مع الأستاذة الدكتورة سعاد العطاب، أستاذة في جامعة صنعاء وفي مركز القلب في مستشفى الكويت، وفي محاضرتها القيمة Hypertension during Pregnancy Practical Guidelines 2025. فلتتفضل.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for the محافظة إب والمستشفى الثورة واللجنة المنظمة. I'm going to start my lecture. Guideline pregnancy hypertension during pregnancy practical guideline 2025. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My agenda today is regarding the hypertension during pregnancy is definition, prevalence, hemodynamic classification, risk factor diagnosis, management, and what's the update in 2025, and long-term outcome. As we know, hypertension disorder during pregnancy of pregnancy. So what's the problem regarding the ليش مش ظاهر المحاضرة lectures؟ في برضه عندكم في مشكلة؟ لا المحاضرة مش ظاهرة في السكرين. لا مش في connection. أي خلاص okay. So this is my agenda today regarding the topics. So as we know, hypertension is asymptomatic disease. We usually call it the silent killer. The initial presentation of hypertension may be stroke or heart attack. So early diagnosis is very important and crucial. So hypertension disorder of pregnancy, one of the major leading cause of maternal, fetal, and neonatal morbidity and mortality, accounting for 10% of patients during pregnancy, and associated with heightened risk of cardiovascular disease. So timely recognition of and modification of associated risk factor is crucial in optimizing long-term maternal death. So what's hypertension during pregnancy? Hypertension in pregnancy has different definitions, and also prevalence. The prevalence given rise because of maternal age, medical problem like diabetes and obesity, the number is increasing. Also, there is literature and evidence suggesting prenatal lead exposure, even low concentration, may be a potential risk for hypertension during pregnancy. As we see in this diagram, over the last 10 years, the number of hypertension is increasing during pregnancy. And in the other curve, ما في pointers. ممكن أعمل هنا. Okay, as we see here, the hypertension is almost the majority of cardiovascular disease is due to hypertension. Almost 1,096 or 69 patients having hypertension in this. So what's the definition of hypertension during the disorder of pregnancy? According to WHO, they define hypertension in pregnancy as systolic blood pressure more than 140 and diastolic blood pressure more than 90 millimeter mercury on both days, at least 2 days consecutive. So this is one of the definition. But American College of Gynae Obstetric, they have another definition. They categorize hypertension into two categories: hypertension, the simple one, and the severe range of hypertension. So hypertension in pregnancy, if the blood pressure is more than systolic more than 140 and diastolic more than 90, and severe range if the systolic blood pressure more than 160 and diastolic blood pressure 110. So is it enough for diagnosing hypertension like this? No. So they add, you have to avoid any delay in the treatment. So they mention the timing. For hypertension, the simple hypertension, or you have to at least to do blood pressure measurement in 2 occasions at least 4 hours apart. You should not wait for 2 days as WHO say. Because you know, our patient usually if you check blood pressure one time, maybe he will not come again. So you have to check again blood pressure within 4 hours. In severe range of hypertension, you have to verify your reading within 15 minutes to avoid any delay. Okay, so as we know, we have three types of measurement, either office, home reading, or ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. So what about the guideline? Guidelines say it's class 2A, to measure the blood pressure by ambulatory blood pressure or home reading. But the office read just to exclude white coat and mask hypertension, which is common in pregnancy and even in non-pregnant women. So what about home reading? Home blood pressure is adjunct to office blood pressure measurement to detect new onset hypertension or for monitoring of patient control, class 2B. So from this, we have to measure the blood pressure correctly to diagnose this disease. As we know, there is some tricks or tips to check the blood pressure in the office. Usually, I think all of us know these tricks. The patient have to be comfortable, blood pressure machine, it should be at the level of the heart, patient should not talk, not taking any caffeine before, the cuff size, all this tip, I think all of us know these tricks. So hypertension during pregnancy, as we know, there is pathophysiological or hemodynamic changes occurring during pregnancy. As we see from this diagram, early in pregnancy, till the 20 weeks of gestation, the blood pressure and vascular resistance or blood volume is decreasing around 10%. And the blood pressure is dropped to nadir till the 20 weeks of gestation. After that, the blood pressure is become back to his baseline. So this is why we see hypertension, mostly we are discovering it in postpartum. This is why we have to classify the hypertension according to the gestational age. This is the pathophysiology regarding the hypertension. We classify hypertension to 4 categories according to the gestational age. If the patient having hypertension before age of gestational age before 20 weeks, we call this chronic hypertension. If the patient develop this hypertension,
دكتورة سعاد.
So we classify hypertension disorder of pregnancy into 4 categories. Okay.
على الشاشة مشان ما تطفى توقفي لأن الناس
اوكي طيب. مشكلة الشاشة بعيدة هناك. أرجعهم. Okay. You want me to start from here? Okay. So most of hypertension during pregnancy or disorder of pregnancy discovered in postpartum. So the mortality rate in postpartum is almost because the blood pressure, the hemodynamic and the volume overload is increasing by the end of pregnancy. Okay, so we classify hypertension disorder during pregnancy into 4 classes. Chronic hypertension, if the diagnosis was before age, gestational age of 20 weeks. If the patient having this hypertension after 20 weeks of gestation, we call this gestational hypertension. If there is proteinuria or other target organ damage, we call this preeclampsia. If the patient have preeclampsia symptoms with hypertension coming before age of 20 weeks, we call this preeclampsia superimposed on chronic hypertension. This is from American College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists. The ECS guideline add one entity of hypertension, they call it antenatally unclassified hypertension. Like our patient, they came to you, for example, in 24 weeks, and you discover this patient have hypertension. So we don't know, this patient have hypertension before gestation or no. So we call this unclassified. When we can classify this, when the patient delivered, so the patient, we will follow the patient within 6 weeks, postpartum. If patient still having blood pressure, high blood pressure, we call this chronic hypertension. If the blood pressure disappears, we call this gestational hypertension. So there is some risk factor for preeclampsia. The high risk entity of patient, usually they have to concentrate of them and you have to do follow up. Especially those patients who have hypertension during previous pregnancies, those patients who have chronic hypertension, chronic kidney disease, type 1 or type 2 diabetes, autoimmune like lupus, antiphospholipid, and those patients who have assisted reproductive therapy, IVF or moderate risk patient, usually nalibara, age more than 40, pregnant in interval more than 10 years. If the BMI more than 35, family history of preeclampsia and multi-fetal pregnancy. So what's the warning sign? You have to educate your patient in the clinic. If you feel these symptoms, you have to come immediately. If the patient have severe headache unexplained by any other cause, blurred vision or eye pain, swelling in your face or hand, upper abdominal pain, sudden weight gain, decreased fetal movement, you have to check or to sought medical advice as soon as possible. So if the patient have new onset postpartum hypertension, what's the management? So you have to check the blood pressure. If the patient have of organ dysfunction, we categorize this patient, you have to look for any organ failure like proteinuria, neurological symptoms, and you have to check for renal and hepatic function and platelet count, hematological. So if the patient have this criteria, we can diagnose him preeclampsia postpartum. So diagnostic criteria preeclampsia, how can we diagnose preeclampsia? So if the patient have high blood pressure more than 140/90, and we check his urine, we get albumin creatinine ratio more than 8 milligram per millimole, or protein creatinine ratio more than 30 milligram per millimole, or even simple urine analysis, spot urine analysis 2+ protein is enough for diagnosing proteinuria. Try to simplify, because we know our patients sometimes we cannot do 24 hours, and they can, some investigation like albumin creatinine ratio is not available in all hospitals. So even urine analysis, simple urine analysis, spot 2+ is indicative of proteinuria. Other clinical feature of preeclampsia symptoms, like we discovered that we said the alarming signs, headache, vision problem, breathing, severe pain, below the ribs, vomiting, edema, troubling urination. Laboratories, we have to check for platelet count, if the patient have low platelet, renal function, abnormal liver test, and platelet count, as we say. Okay, so if the patient have these symptoms, we have to, or we have uroplacental dysfunction. We do ultrasound to see the Doppler waves analysis, or the patient have stillbirth. If all this positive, we have to diagnose preeclampsia. If not, it's the inconclusive, we have to do some biomarkers to diagnose preeclampsia. So again, this is from the American College of Gynecology. Proteinuria, this is 300 milligram per 24 hours urine collection. But I think this is so sophisticated to ask the patient to collect the urine 24 hours. But yeah, but protein creatinine ratio or dipstick reading more than 2+. Or thrombocytopenia less than 100, renal insufficiency if it's more than 1.1, or doubling serum creatinine from the baseline, impaired liver function twice normal from the baseline, pulmonary edema, or headache. So if the patient have hypertension and preeclampsia, how can we manage this patient? Any patient with preeclampsia, you have to admit to the hospital. So blood pressure 160, 10, proteinuria, any symptoms, you have to admit the patient. This is class 1 indication. What's the meaning of class 1 indication? It's highly recommended. You must admit the patient. Okay? So while the patient who has this blood pressure more than 140/90, we can admit him, we can just manage him as outpatient. You can start medications for them. Usually the first line medication for hypertension in pregnancy is methyldopa. This is very, very common. We have to start with this medication. So the aim of our blood pressure, as we said, it's below 140/90, okay? And for those severe patients, you have to admit the patient. Many doctors, we have to start low dose of aspirin, especially those patients with moderate and high risk, moderate with high risk factors for preeclampsia. Usually the duration of aspirin is from 12 weeks to 36 or to 37 weeks. Patient with hypertension, usually we have to start the first line methyldopa. There is another alternative medication like labetalol, metoprolol, dihydrocanabinol, we use them as a second line. In severe cases, we have to start IV labetalol, nicardipine, or short-acting nifedipine. Second line, hydralazine, nitroglycerin. And the most important thing is we have to deliver the patient as soon as possible, usually at 37 weeks or 30.
1 minute. Huh?
Okay. This is this diagram regarding the monitoring, how we can follow this patient, when we have to check the pressure, when we have to check the biochemistry and the renal function test. Regarding the eclampsia, usually we gynecologists are dealing with this severe or emergency life-threatening condition. We have to do the basic resuscitation first to control the seizure by giving sodium or magnesium sulfate. and then to have to control the blood pressure and to deliver the baby as soon as possible. So we measure the blood pressure, we diagnose, we see if the patient has any target organ damage, we select the therapy, but we have to evaluate the response. So this is the update in 2029-25. This is regarding the hypertension. We have the 3 entities regarding the hypertension, pregnancy, heart team, and the algorithm of management, adverse pregnancy outcome. So this is the pregnancy heart team. We should not see hypertension during pregnancy. It's hypertension disorder of pregnancy. So we have to see the patient pre-conception, pregnancy, and delivery, and to see the plan for delivery, postpartum, and long term. You have to follow your patient.
Time is finished.
Just last slide.
Okay.
Okay. Management of adverse pregnancy outcome, as we see, the hand care over, it should be within 3 months. So the follow-up for the patient after post-delivery, you should not just deliver the patient and send him back to home. So you have to follow the patient within 6 weeks. If the blood pressure still, you have to follow them again after 3 months. After 3 months, you can hand care. If the patient is still having this blood pressure, you have to send him to the medical or cardiology. And to follow them within 6 to 12 months annually to look for the risk factors. This is the list of medication we can use them for hypertension. Take home message. The aim of our blood pressure in pregnancy should be less than 140/90. Screen for sign of preeclampsia and hypertension in postpartum period. Transition of care after 3 months. Focus particularly on women with hypertension disorder or gestational diabetes. Undertake cardiovascular risk assessment to provide counseling of health lifestyle choice. Follow-up visit should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Suad Al-Attab, for your excellent. Please try to be in time.